Welcome back. You're still with the countdown. We're still hovering at close to the highest point of the day, 5 points shy of it at 50.31 currently. On the Nifty, the high point is 50.36. As we told you before we went into the break, Varun Goel, Assistant Vice President, Fund Management Division at KC Securities, joining in on this leg of the show. Varun, afternoon. Thanks so much for joining in. Have we run too far too soon at 50.30, or is this market still good for another 100, 200 points on the Nifty, you think?
Afternoon, Rahul. I think the markets have run up very significantly since the lows of March. We have almost doubled from those levels. And I think even if I were to take a bullish scenario for FY11 earnings of around 1100 rupees, I think giving a multiple of 15 times, the market seems to be fairly valued at around 16,500. So I don't really see too much upside in broader markets from these levels. And I definitely would not be a buyer at these levels.
Farhan, then let me round that off by asking you what your call on Reliance Industries is. Would you buy that stock at these levels?
Well, I would say that the overhang of the court case still remains on Reliance. Having said that, there are some expectations of some M&A activity. I would say that Reliance has been sitting on a significant amount of cash for quite some time, and any effort to put that cash to work in a value accretive manner should be seen as a positive development.
Yes, the HDFC continues to lead the charge on the bourses, up 5.5% right now. Varun, any reading on the biggest gainer and the loser on the index today, HDFC and Bharti?
I would say that as far as the telecom space is concerned, the space is getting increasingly competitive. I believe new players like Tata in the GSM space have launched some very aggressive schemes. So I think going forward, the ARPU levels and the overall profitability of the sector as such could get under significant amount of pressure. Also, the growth in India seems to be maturing, and probably next couple of years we will be looking at a much lower growth rate than what we are seeing at this point of time. So clearly, there are headwinds for the telecom space as such. As far as the financial space is concerned, I think yes, there is a clear revival in the banking space, and particularly for HDFC, in the sense that the housing sector seems to have revived. There is a lot of appetite for residential housing, and there has been new people coming in, those people who have been waiting on the sidelines for the last few years when the housing prices were fairly clearly too high. So I think on that side, lending should improve going forward, and institutions like HDFC should benefit from that.
Right. Meanwhile, Reliance Communications has been a lot in the news today. They had the AGM a little earlier today. Anil Ambani was addressing the media, and he was stating the obvious that the market has been waiting for a while, that Reliance Infratel will be listed soon. They'll be fighting with the prospectuses with SEBI, and they're looking to offload about 10% or close to, I think it was about 10 or 15% that they're talking about offloading. That's Anil Ambani there at his AGM a little earlier today. Varun, any reading on the oil marketing companies? Their entire business model with respect to ATF and things like that, and thereby the implications it's probably having on the aviation sector as a whole as well?
Well, I think overall on the oil marketing companies, I would be positive, simply because of the fact that there has been a significant reduction in subsidy burden, because the government taking the LPG and kerosene subsidy directly in its own books. So I think that is one positive development for the sector. As far as the ETF, I think there's still some ambiguity as to what exactly policy decision would come on that side. I think the way all the airline stocks have run up, they seem to be indicating that the market is expecting a significant relief for the companies going forward. But one has to wait and see what is the actual announcement from the government side.
Well, while we're talking aviation stocks, let's bring you management perspective. Hear it out from Ravi Nedungari. He's CFO at the UB Group.
Okay, that was Ravi Nedungari with his thoughts on Kingfisher Airlines. Varun, any thoughts on Pipavav Shipyard and the pricing of the issue?
Well, I think if you look at the order book of the company, it is essentially it's all in the offshore vehicle space. I think going forward, the demand in this sector is going to be a function of how the crude prices perform. I personally am not very bullish on crude prices in the short run, so I don't think we are going to see a very significant amount of growth in that sector. If you look at the valuations, I think they seem to be at a significant premium to other listed companies in that space. So I would think that one can look at the existing companies in that space as compared to the IPO, which I think is a little overpriced.
Well, despite those factors, Pipavav Shipyard's issue was subscribed 8 times over. Jindal got that perspective. Varun, want to bring you in on this one. What's it looking like for ACC as well as Grasim at these levels?
I think the cement demand has held on quite well so far this year. There was expectations that as monsoons weaken, the demand for cement should come down, but we haven't really seen that happening. But having said that, I think there is incremental capacity that is going to come up in the next 6 months to 12 months in various parts of the country. And also one needs to remember that cement being a bulky commodity, one needs to decide on which company to play based on the geographical location. So I would say that the valuations look quite full at this point of time, and I would not be looking at adding cement companies at this point of time.
Right, we've got just about 50 odd seconds to go before the markets close out on the first trading day of this week.